It is 7:30 a.m. right now. Let's go get coffee. Well, we were moved into a different townhouse. The furniture is a little different, but the essence is pretty much the same. Last week, I visited a family-owned and operated coffee farm here in Bali, and it was such an amazing experience to talk to Wayan, the owner of the Wanagiri Coffee farm, and learn more about how the coffee is being locally grown and produced, and of course try luwak coffee, made from the beans that were eaten and digested by luwaks, Asian palm civets. One thing that I didn't mention in that video is that earlier this year, when I was still in Toronto, I actually became a certified barista. So let's talk a little bit more about coffee. My journey of this curiosity began when I got a Breville Espresso machine, this beautiful and extremely intimidating piece of equipment that I had absolutely no idea how to use. And that's when I realized that even though coffee is a beverage I've been drinking daily for years, I knew nothing about it. We're surrounded by coffee. On nearly every block, you'll find at least 1 or 2 coffee spots fueling cities with every sip. It is woven into the fabric of our lives at this point. Millions of cups are brewed every day across the world, and coffee isn't really just a drink anymore. It's part of our global culture. So how did we get here, and when did it even start? While looking into it, I came across this incredible book, The Devil's Cup by Stuart Lee Allen. The author actually traces and travels coffee's physical path across countries and centuries, from its origins in Ethiopia to its evolution into what it has become today. Let me show you. So let's go back to where it all began. It started in the 9th century Ethiopia with a goat herder named Kaldi. Kaldi noticed that his goats got a little extra lively after munching on berries from a certain tree. So curious, naturally, Kaldi tried the berries himself and experienced this boost in energy, leading to the discovery of coffee. Initially, coffee cherries were consumed directly, sometimes fermented into a type of wine or even as a tea, using just the coffee leaves. Those all are the coffee trees. So, picking the berry and then squeezing it a little bit, and then each berry has 2 seeds. Oh, there they are. And so what they look like. And then the berry itself is edible. It's actually delicious. It's so sweet. So our journey starts in Ethiopia. Now, by the 15th century, coffee has spread from Ethiopia to Yemen, where Sufi monks used it to stay awake during long prayers. In Yemen, they roasted, ground, and brewed coffee beans into this drink called kawa. Now, by the 16th century, coffee has spread across the Middle East to Persia, Turkey, and Egypt. Coffee houses became cultural hubs where people gathered to talk, debate, and share ideas. And this is when the Turkish coffee started, made by boiling finely ground coffee with water and sugar, a style that is still very popular today. Next, in the 17th century, coffee has made its way to Europe, first arriving in Venice through its trade with the Ottoman Empire, and soon coffee houses popped up in cities like Venice, London, Paris. They very quickly became gathering spots for people to discuss news and life. Nothing really changed there. But also, at that time, they were meeting points for those plotting revolutions. And for that reason, coffee houses were very frequently banned in some places in Europe. Brewing, occasional uprisings. Funnily enough, the magazine Tatler, founded in 1709 in London, started initially as a publication that shared society gossip and news based on rumors overheard in coffee houses. It's also interesting that if London was historically such a big coffee hub, why is England now known stereotypically as a tea-drinking nation, but more on this later. Eventually, coffee crossed the Atlantic, reaching the American colonies in 17th and 18th centuries. With more people starting to drink coffee as the centuries went on, where and how did it start being produced on a massive scale? Well, there are two main types of coffee beans consumed today, Arabica and Robusta, both needing specific climates, such as consistent warm temperatures, certain altitude, and steady rainfall. So let's color our map. Yellow for Arabica, red for Robusta, and brown for both. Their growth volumes are highly guided by the consumption demand of the specific type of bean. Today, the top 5 coffee producers are Brazil, Vietnam, Colombia, Indonesia, where I am today, and Ethiopia. And if we look back at these countries through the lens of history, they all have colonial ties. Portuguese, French, Spanish, Dutch. Ethiopia was under Italian occupation for a brief moment of time. Well, England, however, is not on this list. There are only a few places in the world where the coffee plants can grow. So despite being a major coffee hub in the 17th century, England didn't have any colonies suitable for coffee growth to satisfy the demand. So it relied on trade with its European neighbors for coffee at the time, which was not economically or in any way beneficial for them. So they switched to tea. But back to where it all started, my espresso machine. I have this rule: if you don't know something, go ask people who do. So I went looking for some hands-on espresso knowledge, and that search led me to the Canadian Barista Academy. The Academy covered everything from equipment basics to espresso extraction and milk steaming, latte art, at which I have successfully failed. And when it came to tasting espresso, we explored everything from bitter to acidic notes, discovering how the taste of the coffee can shift with different grind settings, brewing times, and temperatures. The entire course felt like a one giant science experiment. One module that I really enjoyed was Bean to Cup, which explained the full journey of a coffee bean from its origin on a plant, how it's being grown, to, well, your morning cup of coffee. It starts with cultivating coffee plants. Once harvested, the beans are processed to remove the outer pulp and then dried, milled, and grated before they're shipped to roasters. And roasting is the stage that brings out the flavors and aromas, transforming coffee from green beans to the rich brown color that we all know coffee as. Roasting is also the step that is frequently done locally, and earlier this year I got a chance to sit down and have a conversation with Juan, a barista at Subtext Coffee Roasters, this really beautiful spot in the Junction area. I am currently in the Junction area of Toronto, and I'm walking to Subtext Coffee Roasters to meet Juan and learn more about local roasting, coffee roasting in Toronto, and everything that entails. I am extremely grateful that he found time to sit down and chat with me.
I started at Subtext, and 3 months in, I won the Toronto Aeropress Championship. That took me to Calgary to compete for nationals, and then I placed second. And then after that, it was my first origin trip with Subtext, so we went to Colombia to be a judge in a coffee producers competition called Copa de Oro, which is organized by one of our importer partners, Osito Coffee. So that was really cool experience. That really opened my eyes to that side of specialty coffee.
One of the things that I personally want to learn more about is the relationship that specialty coffee shops have with coffee producers. How do you establish a relationship like that?
When you work at a cafe, you're not as close as a coffee producer as when you work at a coffee roaster. Because with coffee roaster, you're with the raw material. You know, we usually buy coffee through importers because they're the ones who are there 24/7. They really have their feet on the ground there. They really work with producers really closely. But then over visits and all that, you create some relationship with producers, and you really want to see what they're capable of doing and how the quality improves year to year.
Unless you're working in the coffee industry, from the outside, it looks a bit like a black box. As a consumer, you don't really know all of the steps that are happening from somebody growing the coffee to it being roasted right here. 100%. So I'm just curious if you could even walk me through what that process is like.
Yeah, it's literally a chain. Starts obviously with a coffee producer. Well, depends on the country too, but I'll speak about Colombia. I know Colombia pretty well when it comes to coffee, but most Colombian coffee producers are quite small, very small farms, meaning like 2-3 hectares of land, which is not a lot. Coffee gets delivered to the importer by the coffee producer. The importer will test it, will cup it, and will analyze it if there's any defects, if there's anything wrong, or how good the coffee is. Based on the score of that lot, they will give them a certain amount of money. Usually the producers that we work with, and that's kind of the beautiful thing about specialty coffee, is that they pay producers premium prices for their coffee based on quality.
Yeah.
So after that, the coffee gets milled, meaning that by density, they will take the green coffee out, and that gets more expensive. And then after that, goes into the importer's menu, where sometimes you literally look a list and you're like, I want this coffee, I like this coffee. Sometimes the importer will like give you first dips on some coffees, be like, hey, you worked with this producer for a long time. Would you like some of these varieties that he's grown this year? Or sometimes the producer himself be like, hey, I want this roasters to have a full access to my lots. Kind of depends on the relationship you have with your importer partner and producers. Yeah. And then it gets delivered to the roastery, and then we roast it, and then it gets sold in our shop. Yeah.
For somebody who is trying to learn more about coffee, or somebody who just became curious in the coffee and they're starting out at their home and trying to figure out just even which direction to go, do you have any advice?
My advice would be to drink as much coffee as possible. Drink as much coffee as possible. Get interested in what's in the cup, what makes the cup taste like that. And be curious and read a lot. Read a lot about coffee. There's magazines out there, online newspapers. There's Coffee Intelligence. That's a good one. They really put up some really nice articles and interesting articles. Spend time in cafes, chat with baristas. A lot of people come here and chat with me a lot, and they're really curious, and I love that. And yeah, I'm always willing to share whatever they want.
Have you personally, working in the industry, noticed any difference so far?
Yeah, I mean...
You mentioned price of coffee.
Yeah, totally. We actually had a great example recently, where last year we had Frank Torres Coffee. He's a producer from Nariño in Colombia. Usually his coffees are excellent. But this year we tried them, and they were not there. Just the quality wasn't there. And so what happened was that due to climate change, there was so much rain there that the rain just kind of drops all the cherries when they're not ripened. Therefore, the crops, it's damaged. You can do anything with it. Or you can just pick it up, process it, and see what happens.
Yeah, that is very sad to hear.
Yeah.
It's probably happening to a lot of other...
Oh, so many people. Rains, heat, dry season. You really need the perfect climate to grow coffee. Two very different coffees. This is a Red Catuai from Brazil. First year working with this producer for espresso and milk beverages is great. Lattes, all that, tastes really good. And then we have this coffee here, which is quite the opposite. This is from a producer called Aldemar Cristial. This is the second year we buy his coffee. It's a Pink Bourbon variety. And Pink Bourbons are this variety that's kind of taking over specialty coffee for its quality. Okay. It's really juicy, fruity, sweet, raspberry, green apple notes.
That's awesome.
Quite the range here.
I'll try both.
Awesome.
Learning about coffee for me initially started with understanding which buttons to push on my espresso machine, followed by falling into a rabbit hole of it becoming this journey into a global story that connects people, cultures, centuries, and there is still so much to uncover. But it's so interesting to see where asking these basic questions and trying to understand at first glance, usual things that surround us every single day can lead us to, and the people that you can meet along the way. So thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one, and cheers!